the introduction to BFCache again?
I think it's fine, but
okay.
Yeah.
People can find out about BFCache elsewhere. Okay. So what I'm here for today, though, is to talk to the performance people and the run people, really. And I have some requests from kind of the Chrome team / BFCache team and ways that you can help improve the hit rate and improve the performance of the web in general, and improve the developer experience as well for this. So we kind of want, so I'm not sure, actually. I don't know the people in the room here, but so there are RUM companies here, people who are like building dashboards that give people metrics on their performance, right? So it would be great if those metrics included the BFCache hit rate for the sites in question. It would be great if those dashboards could tell the sites what on their page is causing them to miss BFCache. And then if there are libraries and things like that you third-party libraries that sites run in order to get your metrics, if any of them are using unload, I'd like to try and figure out how we can move you off unload and onto something else. So so on the hit rate thing, this would really, I think, raise the profile of BFCache. Some developers know about it, some don't, and often people are getting blocked from BFCache for simple reasons that they can fix. Wikipedia fixed themselves very quickly once we worked with them to told them what was blocking them. They were able to fix it very, very quickly. So and people also, if you give people numbers, they can improve their numbers. And so I have a little bit of sample code. And the URL, I hope someone can put the URL for these slides. If you have this URL into the notes or something like that. It's pretty simple. If you've been brought back out of BFCache, the page show event has a persisted bit that is set to true. And so, you could, this is just hypothetical, but you could record that this was a successful BFCache hit. That's your numerator, and your denominator is every history navigation. And you can tell if you're a history navigation by looking at the performance, get entries by type navigation, and looking at the type to see is it back forward. So this I think should give you the correct numbers for telling whether for giving a site their BFCache hit rate. Of course, how you do it, there are some other ways you could do it, but it'd be fantastic if people could actually see this with their metrics. And then help us let sites know why they are getting cache misses, right? So there are lots of reasons why you can be blocked from entering BFCache, and it varies from browser to browser as well. And Chrome's approach to implementing BFCache was to basically block everything that we thought might be even slightly problematic, and enable BFCache, knowing that we had blocked everything that might cause a problem. And now we are looking at our own dashboard and kind of going through, well, okay, this is the biggest blocker. Let's try fix this. This is the next biggest. This is the next biggest, right? But so example blockers are currently, if your page has cache control no store set on it, we will not put you into BFCache. That might change, but it's we need to iron out some things there. If you hold a web lock, then we can't. Well, if we hold a web lock, it's difficult to put you into BFCache. Currently, we just don't. We can improve that slightly, but basically, a page that's in BFCache should have no influence on anything else around it. And so, if you held a web lock and someone else tried to take that web lock, we would definitely have to let them take it and kick you out of BFCache. A bunch of other APIs like that, speech synthesis API, notifications API, they're not required to be blocked by spec, but it's just the fact is that Chrome blocks them. And I think, and we will get around to them eventually, but currently they're blockers, and pages can see that, and they can actually like release what they've acquired in their page hide handler, and they can fix it. Yeah, we want people to be able to see what's stopping them from going into BFCache. And there's a GitHub issue and an explainer. And again, I really should have. Well, I guess I can copy the explainer into the chat here, but let me just copy the slides URL into the chat here too. But the explainer, which I'll just open now. The idea is that we will give you the reasons, right? We'll give you a kind of a tree of all of the frames that were in the page. We'll tell you the URL of the frame. In some cases we can't tell you the URL. Whether something in that frame blocked entering BFCache, and then what those reasons were. Although if it's a cross origin thing, we can't tell you what the reasons are. The most we can tell you cross origin is whether you were blocked or not. And so we'll give you a structure a little bit like this. So there was an a.com frame with 2 more a.com frames, and the second subframe was using a broadcast channel, and that's the reason the whole thing got blocked for BFCache, right? So what we'd like feedback on the shape of this API, and in particular how to expose the data. So there's a couple of ideas. We could attach it to the page show event. We could put it into the performance navigation timing API, which maybe makes sense because that's where you can find out whether things were history navigation. And then there's this other option here of putting in the reporting API. Now, the reporting API, I think, hasn't been standardized, and I'm not sure who implements it, but it has this nice property that you just set it up declaratively, and you get the information in a side channel. You don't have to embed script in your page. So yeah, we would love feedback. Please come along and give feedback on the GitHub issue. There's already some discussion going on there. Which of those APIs you would or would not use or could not use for some reason, or if there are other options that you think are better. So that is the reporting API for exposing the reasons. And yeah, we would like to be able to let sites just drive down or drive up their own cache hit rate by seeing what's causing it to be blocked in the wild. We actually have in our dev tools, we have a thing that shows you what blocked a page. But obviously what you see when you're fiddling around with it yourself on your dev machine is not what your users are experiencing. So, and then the final request was to stop using unload. So Chrome Android ignores unload if the page is cacheable, BF cacheable, I should say here, right? So, and it just puts it into the cache, and the unload will never fire. So if you're relying on unload, you're already in a little bit of trouble. Safari does exactly the same, but it does it on all platforms. So Safari is more aggressive about BF caching than we are yet. Chrome Desktop cannot simply ignore unload in the same way Safari does. Basically, we have a far greater number of users, and we know we will get a lot of pushback if we were to just unilaterally stop doing this. But it is our largest blocking reason for pages not going into BFCache. And so it's a big concern for us. And in many or most cases, I would say you can change your unload usage to page hide usage. Page hide has the same timing. So if unload was actually going to fire, then page hide would have fired right before it. Every time unload fires, page hide fires. It's more reliable because unload will not fire as you're entering BFCache, but page hide will. And you can tell the difference between a page hide when you're entering BFCache and a page hide when you're being discarded completely. And of course, if you switch to page hide from unload, you don't block BFCache anymore. There are some other things, like sometimes visibility change event is actually the suitable replacement for what you were doing on unload, and whatever, you know, there can be other things that might be better than unload. But most of the time, I think it's page hide. We'd love to know if you have unload usages that you cannot stop using. Please contact us. Like I said, Chrome, bfcachedev@chromium.org. And then a final thing is that it's somewhat orthogonal, but it's maybe makes it easier for people to move away from unload. Is this proposal for a kind of beacon API that you can set up, and when the page is discarded, no matter how it gets discarded, whether it goes through BFCache and then gets discarded, or whether it gets discarded directly, would deliver some bit of information back to some server, right? This, I say it's orthogonal because I think almost every usage of unload can be replaced by a page hide. But page hide is more reliable than unload, but it's still not 100% reliable. It's still, you can't tell. There's no such thing as the last page hide. If you've gone into BFCache, you might never come out again. You might be discarded while you're in there. So it's very hard to kind of send a final message from the page. And so there's a proposal. It's not. I don't think there's any public documentation on this. To have an API where you could just set up a piece of data that would be delivered when your page is discarded. I think maybe Ian McClellan is going to talk about that, or can talk about that a bit more if people are interested. So I think that was everything that I wanted to present. Yeah.
Okay. So let me stop the recording.